to my channel. So today I'm going to be working in my Messy May journal. So last week I shared a video where I explained all about this challenge that Get Messy is running over on Instagram, and I decided to make a journal and follow along with the daily prompts. So what I've actually done is compiled days 1 through to 6 working on the different spreads and pop them all into one video. So this is a slightly longer video than some of my usual ones, so maybe you want to grab a cup of tea or your journal and join me for this. I just thought this might be a nice way to do a little bit of a wrap up each week and show you how I am getting on with the prompts. Let me know if you are also joining in with this challenge. It's so much fun, and I'll leave all the information down below. Or like I said, you can head over to Get Messy's Instagram for all the details. I'm really excited about it because on day 15 I am one of the guests for Get Messy, so I definitely thought that it would be a good chance to join in and see what all of the other guest artists have created for each day of the challenge. So for day 1 the prompt was new, and all I did was literally decorated the cover. As you'll have just seen, I just did some bold white writing, just a super easy way to ease myself into the challenge. But the full prompt was to create a new dedicated home for your Messy May journal by binding an imperfect messy journal. So I kind of had already made my journal ready for the challenge, so I just decided that decorating it would be a really great way to start the challenge and kind of ease myself into it. So that's what I did for day 1. And what I'm working on here is day 2. So the prompt for day 2 is expand, and the fuller prompt is let's explore how we can use Messy May as a catalyst to expand our creative ideas and inspiration while creating an expanding journal page together. And so I was inspired to use an envelope to create the idea of expand. So what I'll probably end up doing is actually printing off the prompt list for the challenge and maybe including it in the pocket that I now have on the page. So I just simply stapled it to the page and then decided to glue it down just so that it wouldn't kind of flap around everywhere. But I love just stapling things into my journal. It's a little bit random, but I just love the charm that it adds. And then I decided I really wanted a bit of a focal point for this page. I was still wanting to keep it quite simple, so I just decided to fussy cut this yellow floral that I had just sort of floating around on my desk. At first I was just going to kind of do it as a, like with the border and everything around it, but I just found that it was kind of getting in the way of, I still wanted the envelope to show through on the page, so I decided that cutting it out would be the best option. And then I kind of almost added some vellum underneath to create a bit of a cluster, and so that it wasn't completely just like slapped onto the page. I wanted it to look like there had been a bit of thought gone behind it, but like I said, I really wanted to keep this nice and simple. And for daily challenges like this, I find it really helpful sometimes just to set a timer, so for like 10 minutes, or maybe if I'm watching a TV show to do like a 20-minute episode and just like see what I can create during that time. And I find it helps to focus me and kind of makes me a little bit more creative because I'm really thinking, and I think what it is I'm actually like trying stuff because I'm like, right, I've only got X amount of time, what am I gonna do? So it kind of forces me to like quickly make decisions and pop things on a page. And I'm finding this week from the challenge that is a really great way to approach this, and it's kind of pushed me to do some things in this journal that I might not have otherwise done. So I'm really enjoying the bite-size creating within this journal. And I'm also using my number stamps each day just to add the date, just so I know which page the prompt is for each day, which is the corresponding one. Plus I just really love these stamps anyway, so it was an excuse to use them within this journal page. And I then added some white pen detailing. I love to do this, and I thought that it contrasted really nicely on this colour of envelope. I think it's not quite a manila envelope, but just that nice warm shade. Having the white against it was really nice, and it just added some more details to the page just to finish it off a bit and add those final touches to the page. So that is everything for day 2 of Expand. I found day 3 a little bit tricky. So the prompt for day 3 is brain dump, and the fuller prompt is see how a brain dump can be used to create ease before you get into the page. And I'll be honest, I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do with this page. I knew when I showed up to my journal I wasn't in the mood for doing any kind of writing. Because in my head I was thinking, oh, maybe I could do a page where it's, you do the writing that is all across the background in one direction and then in another direction, and then you can collage over it or paint over it and have that be almost the brain dump, and then creating the art on top of it. But I kind of wanted the brain dump element to almost be part of what I was doing, so almost like a visual brain dump in a way. So what I was doing was using the collage elements that I was picking under a time limit again, because I just found that it worked really well the day before, so I decided to use it again. And I was just picking things that were resonating or that I liked, and actually I really enjoyed the way that this spread came out. It was kind of in my comfort zone, I gotta say. I just love adding collages, and pinks are really something that I'm loving lately. It's funny because I never used to be like a really big fan of pink, but I just can't seem to not include it in a journal page, whether it's a like pink floral image or that pink tissue paper that I have hoarded from some packaging. I just love the pops of pink in my journals lately. So that was a really interesting page that was kind of almost using the prompt as a way to start the process, but it wasn't necessarily like, I wouldn't look at this afterwards and say everything here specifically relates to the prompt of brain dump. It was almost like the spark and the process to get me going and get me creating the spread for that day, which is really interesting from doing a challenge like this. And I also didn't include too many detailed elements in this page. I think I maybe had like 4 or 5 larger collagey strips that I worked across in a bit of a like stripe pattern now that I'm looking back at it. That's the kind of layout that I picked, and I really like that actually as a kind of composition and design choice. So I've got there the floral in the center of the right hand side page, and then I've got those strips going down the side. And it's funny, like looking back at it now, like at the time I was just sort of adding things randomly and thinking how many like seconds left have I got on the timer, but looking back, I actually really loved that layout of the page. And then I've got this text that I cut out from one of my many secondhand books that I just decided to add onto the top. So I love to add text. Sometimes it will be a quote and it's hand lettered, but I do like to add like sort of found words from books or magazines and use them as the journaling. So it's not always things that necessarily read in the same way as a quote and make sense. It's more just like words and phrases that I want to use within the page. Oh, I lied, I did add some little bits of detail there. I think that was mainly just to have something running throughout the page. And then here are the number stamps. So I just decided to add it to the left hand side of the page because there wasn't really an area that I wanted to add that into anywhere else. And that was my page for brain dump. So on day 4, our prompt was joy, and the host was Mitz from My Life Mitz, who you might know here on YouTube, and she encouraged us to look back at our old journals, which is something I love doing when I'm creating new pages. So the fuller prompt for day 4 was, What do you do when you are in a journaling rut? Do you ever find yourself flipping through past journals and rediscovering patterns or colour combinations that make your heart flutter? Let's take a look through some past work to see if we can ignite our inspiration to create something new. So I pulled out a couple of older journals. One is from Junk Journal July and another one is from 2018, 2019. It's one that I really love. It's a junk journal that was one of the first ones I was working in, and there are some pages in there that I just really enjoy, the layouts and the compositions. So I decided to kind of have these to the side as inspiration. So I wasn't necessarily copying like for like, but I was trying to go with Mitz's prompt of, picking different elements, so colors or patterns and things, and just having the journals there was really nice as a bit of inspiration and things to look at that I could then use within my spread that I was creating here. So you can see I picked out like the coffee dye elements and some of the larger pieces of neutral collage, and it was a really fun spread to work on to see how I could pick out the different parts of these spreads that I liked, but also transform them into something new for this page.
If I ask you, don't hold back on me. Only better if you set it free. In a new light, we can see everything clear. Are we really happy here? There's a shadow rising on the wall. Through a bottle, I can stand up tall. Call up my new friend, ask her if she's doing fine.
wanted to add some text to this spread, and I decided to use the quote that Mitz had shared in her video, which is one by Howard Thurman, and it was just something that really resonated, so I decided to add it. And it's, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive and go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So I decided to write that into this page with my Tombow brush marker, and I like how this one turned out. I think it was quite fitting for the prompt. It was quite joyful to be looking through past journals for inspiration. It's something that I love to do in my own journaling practice, so it was really nice to have that as one of the prompts for the challenge. I also really liked the little sort of washi strips that I added, as well as a bit of a border element. I was using some different patterns and colours to add a bit of a pop to the page, and I really liked that element of the page. So that is everything that I did for day 4's prompt. For day 5, the prompt was elevate, and the host's longer prompt was elevate your page from okay to fabulous, simply by using paint, tissue paper, and stencil techniques. So the video that went along with this, I decided I was just going to follow along with the mixed media creations that were shared, because when I thought of elevate, that was quite a vague prompt to me, and I wasn't really sure how I wanted to respond to that, so I decided to take the opportunity to follow along with the kind of painty mixed media spread that the host was sharing for this day. Like I said, it's all over on Instagram if you want to go and watch any of these videos. And let me tell you, I had so much fun creating this page. I really enjoyed it, and I think what I liked most was that I let go of any expectations of what I was creating for this page, and I was just following along with the different steps that were in the video, and it really helped to push me out of my comfort zone, because this is not typically the style that I work in. I do a lot more collage. I tried to do some mixed media and some painting, but you guys know that's not really like my comfort zone. So it was really nice to play with these different materials and layer and add different things, and I was still in places like keeping it me, like I was still doing my own little takes on things in terms of the color scheme and things like that, but it was really fun to play with the different textures. So here, for example, I was using one of my coloured pencils to work into the wet paint, which created that textured element, but I was also just using it as a way to doodle some little leaf patterns. And then here I'm coming in with a neo color to add some like blobby bits of like peachy color. And I'll be honest, I mean, at this point I was literally like, okay, this page is looking a little bit like a hot mess, what am I doing? But I really was trying to stay like dedicated to the process and trusting the process, so I decided to push on, keep going, and just see where this would lead. So I was following all the steps, even though I was thinking, oh, what am I doing on this journal page? Like it kind of looked a little bit like a painty mess, especially when I started adding this pink. I mean, I love the colour, but I was a little bit unsure. And you can see here I'm working the pink kind of not over the top of the leaves. I was trying to work it into the shape of them there to help not cover them completely. And then I decided that was too much pink, and I was adding some extra white onto this page to push that back. And it was just really fun to play with all the different layers.
Take me out to California. Take me out to California. I feel the day to an end, and my eyes are drawn to southern skies. And all the while I was trying to pretend the promised land was there beyond the great divide. But I'll be coming home soon. Yeah, I'll be coming home soon. So take me out to California, where the sun is always high, where the streets are paved with gold and no one ever gets old. I'll be longing for that day till you come and take me home. California, California, here I come. I've seen it all upon the silver screen, the happy faces and a sign upon a hill. The wine is flowing and the fields forever green, and all your hopes and dreams will always be fulfilled. So I'll be coming real soon. Yeah, I'll be coming real soon. So take me out to California, where the sun is always high, where the streets are paved with gold and no one ever gets old. I'll be longing for that day till you come and take me home. California, California, here I come. Take me out, take me out. So take me out to California, where the sun is always high, where the streets are paved with gold and no one ever gets old. I'll be longing for that day till you come and take me home. California, California, here I come.
I actually used a charcoal pencil to write the word elevate there onto the page, and just at the end of the E I managed to rip into the tissue paper, which I didn't think was bad going, to be honest, because I was kind of risking it a bit when the paint was still a little bit wet. But I really love how this turned out. I did add that extra white paint there on the right hand side just so that I had space to add my text, but I love how the stamping melted into the page. So for day 6, the prompt is patchwork, and the longer version is combining colours, emotions and assorted aspects of our lives in our journals is a form of patchwork many of us already do without even realising it. What wonders can we create when we explore the theme patchwork with intention? And I was so excited for this prompt because it's something that on the surface seems so simple, and yet it's such a fun idea, and I decided to go to town with florals as always on this page, and I was just cutting out little squares of illustrations and also some photos, and it's just such a fun way of thinking about patterns in journaling. So I was just picking out the different ones that I liked and then just cut them into random shapes. So some of them I had to cut down because as beautiful as this image was, for example, it was just far too big, so I ended up cutting it into a sort of longer strip. So I didn't just use squares for this, I used like squares, rectangles, had them overlapping. I also incorporated some book paper into this as well, just to break it up a little bit, and I just really love having this as a bit of inspiration, almost like a mood board in terms of the colours and the textures within this page. It's just a really therapeutic way to create. I loved working on this page, and it's definitely inspired me to want to create a few more like this, because there's obviously loads of different possibilities with different materials, and you know, you don't even have to just do like squares and rectangles, of course. You could do triangles, you could do diamonds. There's loads of different ways that you could take this, and it's just a really fun and easy quick way of creating a background for your journal pages as well. I think this would be so fun to do as a background. Like, imagine this like all neutrals in the background, and then coming on and adding journaling onto the top. Maybe it could even be a border. Just as I'm talking about this now, I've got like so many ideas from this prompt, and that's another thing that I love about challenges like this, is that you get so many other ideas, especially when there's like a hashtag for these and you see everybody else's creations. That's always a really fun part of doing these challenges in a community. So yeah, I really loved putting this page together. And I'm just using my white Uniball Signo here to add some extra details to the page, and that is pretty much it for the Patchwork page and for this week in journaling for the Messy May challenge. So I hope you enjoyed this little weekly roundup of all the journaling that I did for this challenge. As always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.